Welcome to the Idaho Business Podcast, the only Idaho podcast focused on providing profits for Idaho people. If you love our state and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Idaho Business Podcast with your friend, host, and all-around great guy and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
Everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Idaho Business Podcast. We're here with Brian Carruthers. He is with LegalShield. He's the executive director at LegalShield. So I'm pretty pleased to have him. He's pretty well known in that world. So for us to have him in this small podcast of the Idaho Business Podcast is a huge treat for us. But before we get into him and his introduction, I need to say, hey, we are sponsored by Health West. These guys are a phenomenal group. They're located throughout Idaho. And if you're any medical needs you need, or your families that are looking for just some options to, instead of just going to the bigger clinics, push them over to the Health West area. So Brian, he's been with LegalShield since 1998, over 25 years. This guy has turned me on to LegalShield through one of my good friends. And this has been something that's kind of been life-changing for me. And I've just been thinking throughout this last week of how much this could have helped me in years past of running my business. But without further ado, Ryan, thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. And it might serve the audience well for me to share kind of how you and I met.
Yeah, let's do it.
So real quick, I'm born and raised in the Washington, D.C. area, come from a real estate background, and maybe we'll circle back to that in a little bit. But I through another real estate agent who I was trying to hire to come work for us one day in my office in Rockville, Maryland, he told me about how he was marketing a legal plan to his clients and friends. I didn't have any interest in hearing anything about it, but he insisted. So within 5 minutes of him explaining what this service did, I said, my gosh, I could have used this so many times in my life. Sign me up. He signed me up immediately, and I asked him why he was offering it. Obviously, it's valuable, so a value add to his clients made sense, and obviously he cares about his friends, so tell him about it as well made sense. But he told me about the business model, and I got involved with him part-time on the side from my real estate career. Long story short, I've fallen so much in love with what this company does to empower and protect people and businesses and employees that I left our family real estate business to go full-time with it 24 years ago. But my wife, who I've been married to for several years now, her parents moved from Baltimore down to the Villages in Florida. Now, if you don't know where the Villages is, what that's all about, it's about an hour north of Orlando. It's a golf cart retirement community. Everybody's got a golf cart. It's insane. But anyway, my father-in-law we were out right around the Easter time, just literally several weeks ago. We were playing a round of golf before the next day I was leaving, taking our family on a cruise for a week. And while he and I were playing at the turn, we ran into a couple and we were backed up. So we just joined forces and became a foursome. And it happened to be Spencer's good friend, Jason, and he and his wife were we played golf for 9 holes, and he shared with me what he does, and he owns several different businesses in Alaska and Florida. And he asked me what I did, and I told him it's LegalShield. Have you heard of it? He said no. And I said, well, think of it this way. Instead of paying attorneys $300 an hour to get legal help when you need it, or instead of not using attorneys because you think I can't afford to call for every little thing for $300 an hour, what if for a tiny monthly fee, you could have a membership to the best network of nationwide law firms around the country that can give you the help that you need for pennies on the dollar, like a whole menu of services that are already paid for by a small monthly fee. He said, my gosh, would it help me with this? I said, yep. He goes, oh my gosh, where has this service been all my life? I'm like, well, it's been right here, but you didn't hear about it yet. So he signed up right away. And I told him, I said, look, who do you know who are business owners who would love, look, every business has multiple departments. They have a sales department. They have an accounting department. They have a HR department. If they've got employees, they got a legal department. But most of these, if you're a small business owner, you wear all those hats. You are HR, you are sales, you are legal, you are the accountant. But when you start getting a little bit bigger, you start, farming some of this stuff out. And you get real big, you bring it all in-house. You got your in-house accountant, you got your in-house legal counsel. But here's the thing, when you're small to medium, you either pay an attorney or find a law firm as needed and just pay them by the hour, or get a little bit bigger, you might have a retainer and you've got a retainer several $1,000s a month or whatever the case is, and you use them as needed. And if you go over and above, they start billing you over and above. So Spencer, what I love about LegalShield is, again, if you don't know your rights, if you can't defend your rights, you might as well not have any rights. And there's an old saying, the rich get richer and the poor stay poor, because rich people use attorneys all the time. They get good advice and counsel. They make better decisions, and therefore they get ahead. And everybody else wings it on their own, praying for the best, which is why they stay stuck where they are. So I think, using Google or asking your mom or dad or friend for advice when things come up in life, it's just not the right way to go. So that's what LegalShield's all about.
I love it. Can you give them a few examples of, because you're saying monthly fee, and you're saying, hey, this could help you. Give them a few real life examples of how this has helped you in your life, and maybe some others.
Yeah, for sure. And first of all, let me take the punchline away. So this is not going to be a sales pitch. I'm not going to be like, sure, value. Here's all the benefits to you. And by the way, for this low little price, let me just tell you up front, we have a small business plan that's literally $49 a month. I mean, if you use it like once or twice a year, you're saving a ton of money. Yeah. So imagine if you have a debt collection letter that you want to have an attorney write, because otherwise you're never going to collect that money. That debt letter is going to cost you $200, $300, $400, $500. But if you have this membership, it's free. So if you just have a few of those you need written on an annual basis or a monthly basis, think about the savings there. Or maybe you have a contract or a document you need to have reviewed. You've got a contract with a vendor, or maybe you've got hiring and firing questions because you're looking to bring on an assistant or another employee. Maybe you have risk mitigation questions. You're worried about your liability in certain situations. Maybe you've got a contractor dispute, a supplier dispute. Maybe you've got an internet security breach, and you're worried about what shoe's going to drop next when you've got a database of all your customers and their information is all gone because you got hacked. Maybe you've got leasing, questions when you're leasing equipment, or you want to have a lease review because you're getting ready to open up a new office, or you've got tax audit questions or threats of consumer lawsuits. So anything like I'm talking about, just pick up the phone and call your attorney, and you don't have to worry about what it's going to cost. You're not like looking at your clock, talking to the attorney and staring at your clock because you're getting billed by the second, which is how they work. Well, guess what? You talk to the attorney for an hour if you need to. There's no bill coming later on. So, and I'll give you a few examples of this. So, I had a situation where, and by the way, we have a personal plan for $29.95 a month, and then we have the small business owner plan for $49. And if you need more services and make it even more robust, or you want trial defense services as a business owner, then the small business owner plan, there's $49.99 or $169. We can share that to you all later on. I'll give you the ability to get to me. I'll throw it in there now. 301-343-9179. And I don't know if you can throw that in the chat, or I will in a second when I stop talking, but you can just text me and I can get you information. But at the end of the day, I had a tax audit that came up, and after 50 years of living on this earth, never been audited. And every time I said it, I knocked on wood, so maybe that held it off for a while, but the audit came. And, you never want to deal with that, because it's not that I did anything wrong. I just heard about how daunting those scenarios are, and how much of their life it takes up, having to get all the documentation together and all that. Well, they hired me the best tax attorney in the DC area. She was an absolute pit bull. She dealt with it for several weeks for me. And when it was all said and done, I got a check from the IRS for over $300. So, and I don't say that to kind of thumb my nose or whatever at the IRS. I don't want to poke the bear, but I do everything as right as I know how to do it. My accountants do a great job, but you just never know. So not having to get a legal bill after that was amazing.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So those that are thinking, this could be too good to be true, how does this fully work? You having this attorney without a bill and only having this small monthly fee? How does it work for these law firms?
Yeah, so you basically, it's a month-to-month service, by the way. So there's no contract. It's not like you're saying, oh, you go to the gym on January 1st, you want to lose weight. January 15th, you're back on the couch, not working out ever again, but you're paying for the membership for the next 2 years. It doesn't work like that. Okay, it's just a month-to-month service. And like I said, there's the $49 Essentials plan, and I'll give you an example of what that will cover. Unlimited advice. If you have any kind of advice or counsel that you need, just pick up the phone and call. They'll do up to 10 letters or phone calls per year at no cost. They'll review contracts and documents to up to 10 of those per year at no cost. They'll up to 5 debt collection letters per month. Think about that. 5 debt collection letters per month for a $49 monthly fee. I mean, one letter pays for the next 5 or 7 months worth of membership fees for that. If you want, all that's all 100% paid for. If you have other things like you want to have them draft up an employee handbook, or you want to have a custom contract drafted, or you've got trademark or copyright help that you need, they'll do those kind of things as one-offs for 25% discount off of what they would normally charge anybody else by the hour that did not have a LegalShield membership that came to their law firm. So that's the Essentials plan for $49. So everybody that I've ever signed up for that plan, I'll get emails or text messages from them saying, oh my gosh, I just used the membership again, and it just saved me about a $500 or $1,000 fee. Thank you so much for referring me to this service, Brian. And then, by the way, if you want to get from 10 to 20 letters or phone calls per year, or you want to go from 5 to 10 debt collection letters per month and so forth, I'm looking at a grid here on my screen that you all can't see, which I will get in your hands. But for $99 a month, you can pretty much double everything that you're getting for the $49. Now, a lot of businesses won't need that much, but if you do, you can always upgrade to it. I know that Jason signed up for the $49, and you, Spencer, the $49 plan. And of course, as needed, you can certainly scale it up.
That's great. That's fantastic. I was just telling you at the beginning, I was thinking of so many different situations where, this will even the playing field a bit as you're a small company dealing with these large companies, with contracts with these large companies. And that's great. That's the lifeblood of your company that you're trying to grow and you're trying to scale. But sometimes it's daunting, and sometimes it's terrifying dealing with these large companies, because they have attorneys on retainer. They know that they have all that at their disposal, and you feel like the one misstep could land you in some hot water. And like you just got done saying, one phone call to an attorney is going to cost you hundreds of dollars. I can think of many different situations as I've started my company. One in particular where I was dealing with a federal contractor, and they changed the scope of work on us, and I couldn't fully prove it, because the scope of work was written in a certain in a manner that I just couldn't fully prove it. But verbally, when we went through the walkthrough, they were saying this and this and this, and I should have been better at following up with an email and saying, to my understanding, this is what we discussed, And I've learned, as I'm a business owner, I've learned, as we all should, But
there's no saying that there's an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Oh my heck!
It's just so important to when there's a question and you're trying to make a decision, any kind of a big or small decision, just call your attorney. Just get another voice, or use them as a sounding board. Have them look everything. Look, contracts are written by attorneys.
Yep.
It's either your attorney or their attorney.
Yep.
Most of the time, for most of us, it's the other party's attorney that drew up those contracts or documents. So how great will it feel that you now have an attorney looking over your shoulder for once? Oh,
it's beautiful. At the end of this story, though, I couldn't prove that they changed the scope of work on me, even though they did. I had to commit to doing the work, or they were going to sue me, they said, which ended up costing me around $40,000 of extra labor, which almost sunk my small company. Which, if I would have had someone on my side saying no, at least writing some letters or doing something on my behalf, it would have helped a little bit more, So it's, I think this is going to be a game changer. So
let me share something else, Spencer. So I'm a big believer in sharing stories so people can understand how this kind of thing would apply in their lives. And like I said, this is great for small business owners, but it's also great for your personal life. For example, 70% of Americans don't have a will.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that if you die without one, that's not good. Now your family should be grieving the loss of a loved one, but now they're having to deal with probate and fighting over stuff, fighting over a baseball card collection or silverware or forks and knives or whatever the case is. Right. So having a will done is expensive. It's about $1,000 to get a law firm to do one that's done right, that will stand up in a court of law, that won't leave your family, fighting over stuff. Well, if you have a personal legal plan with LegalShield for the $29.95 a month, you get that for free. It's $1,000 savings right there.
Wow.
Now, this other one is a very interesting story because I'm an author. I've written 4 books that have all become bestsellers, and certainly I'm not sitting at home packaging them up and sending them to the post office myself. I've got a fulfillment house. But my second book, this one here, is Building an Empire. I had a few thousand copies of these books sent to my house in Virginia when they first came in, so that I can actually have some at my disposal as needed. And one day I took 10 cases of these books to the post office to ship them out to different people around the country. 8 of them made it, and 2 of them vanished into thin air. I mean, I'm a Bermuda Triangle. They had no idea where they went. But I'm like, well, thankfully I got insurance. So I filed the insurance claims for the 2 cases that were missing with the post office. 3 months later, they denied my claim. They said you can appeal. So I sent an appeal in with all the documentation. 3 months later, they denied it. They said I can appeal one more time. So I sent in another appeal. 2.5 months later, it was denied. So I'm 8 months down the road on this thing, a little over $400 per case for the books that are gone and they're not owning up to it. And they're denying my insurance claim. So what's a guy to do? Like what? You know what? I don't know why. I sell LegalShield. And I took that long to actually get on the phone with my attorney. He said, give me all the details. He wrote this letter. Check out this letter, by the way. This is the letter. Look how many pages are in it. He wrote this letter to the postmaster. And literally the next week, I got a priority mail envelope or an overnight envelope from the post office, from the postmaster. Got 2 checks. I don't know if you can see these, for $422 a piece. So I got my $845 that I was never going to see, if not for having an attorney write that letter that did not cost me a dime to have them write. I should have actually had them write the letter after the first denial. I shouldn't have waited, 2 more denials. I started getting down on my self-esteem. But at the end of the day, it's like, how many situations? I had a woman who sued me, and you just never know what's going to come up. The most frivolous lawsuit in the world. I'm not going to get into all the details, but she actually went through not 1, but 2. She finally found a 3rd attorney after the first 2 dropped her because it was so frivolous. She was suing me in New Jersey. I lived in Maryland at the time. And it was a $175,000 lawsuit. LegalShield had an attorney that stood by me the whole way, handled the whole thing. Finally, almost about a year and a half later, got in front of a judge in New Jersey. The judge threw it out within 5 minutes. So I was not guilty all along. It was all said and done. It did not cost me a dime because my LegalShield membership had my trial defense built into it, and it didn't cost me a dime to defend that.
That's amazing. That's good to hear, and it's good that systems like this exist. So I think this is something that everyone needs to look into. Especially those that are owning small businesses and are starting businesses. This is something I think you should build into your cost of doing business for sure. So
yeah, and you write it off as a business expense, right? So it's like you're going to use it a couple times a year or a couple times a month or whatever it is. So
yep, exactly, and they should be categorized as professional services, people. So,
yep.
I like it. Well, Brian, this has been amazing. We've gotten some excellent information here.
No, I mean, it's a pretty simple, straightforward concept, right? I would just say, get the service this month to month, get the service, try the service out. And here it is. I'm coming across as a salesperson now, but you know what sales is. If you're a business owner, then you're in sales. So you guys can probably appreciate where I'm coming from. Sales is a transfer of belief. Mm-hmm. That guy that day, 24 and a half years ago, that other agent in my real estate office, he believed in LegalShield. And when he shared it with me, I bought his belief and I signed up for the service. I've used the service 84 times now in my personal life, and a few for business. And I'm a home-based business entrepreneur, so I don't have employees. I don't have a storefront. I have a lot of different business, things that other owners might need to deal with. But 84 times I've used the service. I believe 100% wholeheartedly that everybody should have this membership for their personal, for their business. We even have 34,000 companies, Spencer, that offer our service as an employee benefit. Because right now, in this era that we're in, post-COVID, it's very interesting. I mean, employers are having a really hard time attracting and retaining good employees. They can't afford to pay them more. So what do you do? Well, find good cutting edge benefits that doesn't have to cost you much money, or in this case, doesn't cost the employer any money to offer this as a benefit to the employees, just a payroll deduction. And we normally see 70 or 80% participation where the employees see this and are like, oh yes, I want this, take this out of my paycheck. So that's another angle that we didn't talk about before that we can certainly be in touch about. But I would just say, get the service, try it. You're gonna never want to be without it. And again, there's no enrollment fee. You just sign up and away you go.
I love it. Well, before we get to that, roll the red carpet out for you, because I'm sure people are going to want to know how to get a hold of you, how to get maybe signed up for this service, because I know, I did. I want to ask you a few things, quickly in our lightning round. And our lightning round is sponsored by my company, New Clean Commercial Cleaning. We have offices from Burley all the way to Rexburg right now, taking care of all your janitorial, carpet cleaning, window cleaning needs. Give us a call at 208-254-7070. And your first office sterilization is free, just by mentioning that you heard about us on the podcast. So I know you said you're an author. We're definitely going to have you come back, and we're going to talk about at least one of the books that you've written. What are you, 3 now or 4?
4. Yep.
That's amazing. Just that on itself is a huge deal. So, but what is one of the best books or tools or softwares that you've used recently, and that's been a game changer for you?
Well, I'll answer that 2 different ways. I've spoken on the stage in Vegas at the GoPro Summit for Entrepreneurs over the last 10 straight years. Actually, I skipped last year, but I've been on stage with Tony Robbins and billionaire Richard Branson and Magic Johnson and Pitbull and Lou Holtz, the winningest football coach in college history. I mean, all these different amazing speakers that were talking to entrepreneurs all about a lot of different subjects. My most recent talk was based on my book, Money Mindset. And the reason why I chose that topic is because I see so many entrepreneurs who spend all of their energy and time and focus and time away from their kids and away from the golf course, whatever, to go out and build their business to be able to increase their earnings. But at the end of the year, so many of them, their net worth hasn't grown. Like, all year long, you do all that work. What do you show for it at the end of it? I mean, if you double your income, you should figure out how to be also doubling your net worth. Right. Obviously, you're going to be paying taxes, and you got a cost of living and everything that's going to be built into that model. But I wrote it because a lot of folks don't realize that they're repelling instead of attracting money. But then they also don't know all the different implications on taxes with regards to what they can write off and different strategies there. So I put that in the book. But then I also am a big believer in, it's not taught in school. Opportunity cost is not taught in school. How to pay taxes, the least amount of taxes. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. But They don't know how to invest. Again, it's not taught. So you got to go get around the people who understand and have won in the investing game, like Kevin O'Leary on Shark Tank. I want to send my money out in the world, have it come back with friends. So, what can you do to not only create a cash machine, which is your business, but when that cash comes in the door, pay the least amount of taxes and start deploying that money into investments that will lead into my most recent book on Trapped, which is all about everybody who says they want time freedom. A lot of people become business owners and then the business owns them. Yep. If anybody's being honest with themselves as a traditional business owner, you have to admit that your business owns you. Mm-hmm. I mean, the buck stops at you. I mean, even if you're not there and working is on your mind constantly. Yep. So creating assets that will keep on spitting off passive residual cash flow to you when you're not working and you're not the one earning the money, and the money is earning money for you. That is everything. And that's what I set out years ago. I had a dream board. And one of the things I had on my dream board was, I had the Ferrari, I had the place in the islands, I had all these different things that I wanted to accomplish. And I was checking those off one at a time. But one of the things was I wanted to have $10 million invested at a 5% return. And if you have that 10 million at 5%, you've got $500,000 a year coming in that you can go out and spend and do whatever you want to do with, and you never touch the principal.
Sure.
And many years ago, I accomplished that goal. And obviously with the S&P stock index, which averages 10% over the last 50 years on a compounded basis, every 7 years, you double your money. So those kind of principles are things that I personally love talking to business owners and entrepreneurs about, because, having a business that brings in the capital and then to be able to have good plans to deploy that, I think it's everything. Maybe we'll do another podcast in the future about that kind of thing. But the other thing, the other answer to your question, I'll share with you. I've got another good friend of mine, Darren Hardy, who wrote a great book called The Compound Effect. I'm a big believer in a lot of times people shoot for the moon, and they completely strike out. Like, you don't always have to be hitting home runs to win baseball games.
Yeah.
And so the compound effect is just doing the simple disciplines in your business, little by little by little by little. And in the act of doing them, it doesn't seem like it's actually getting you anywhere. But compounded over time, there's simple disciplines versus the simple errors in judgment. But the simple disciplines, doing those good things over and over and over again, compounded, will give you massive, massive results. I made tens of millions of dollars in my business because I was doing the little things that didn't seem to make a difference in the act of doing them. But the compound effect did kick in, and it turned into a very, very successful business that's been paid over $500 million.
I love it. One of my consultants actually said something similar, that some of the wealthiest people he knows does the same boring business, day in and day out. They don't jump to one shiny thing to the next. It's just, okay, I'm doing this business. I'm going to grow this business. And just like you said, I'm going to do compounding steps that are just going to make me more and more wealthy. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And look, at the end of the day, I'm in a place in my life where I don't work for money. I haven't done that for a long time because of what we're talking about, creating assets or spitting off passive income. And you might, some people say, well, Brian, why do you even bother jumping on a Zoom or doing a podcast or even sitting down with somebody over coffee locally to tell them about a LegalShield plan to make a sale for a membership? How does that affect your life? I'm like, it doesn't, honestly. Yeah. Me selling somebody a book that costs $12 doesn't move the needle in my life. For me, it's all about significance.
Sure.
Success is success is personal. Success is, yes, I've done this and I can afford this for my family now, and I've got the car and I got the home I want. All that. Significance is, what have you done for others? Who have you impacted? And that, I'm all about significance, doing things in the business community to help them in my personal life and also with church. And so to me, this conversation with you right now, I hope everybody will receive this in a way where, you didn't bring on this guy to sell legal plans because he's trying to make a commission. I just love the fact I know that somebody signs up for this personal plan or the small business owner plan with LegalShield. I know it's going to have a positive impact, removing stress and giving them confidence and posture in their life or in their business that they wouldn't have had otherwise. And so I'm just planting a seed that I just know is going to grow into something good for everybody that touches it.
I love it. And that's exactly what I thought when I brought you on. I thought this is definitely just going to add value to the people that listen to this podcast. It's going to add value to their lives. So I appreciate you coming on, and I definitely want to have you back on to talk about more of the money mindset type of ideas and understanding of that. So thank you, Brian, again. And to those that are listening, I'm sure you've got a lot to think about today. But Brian, those that are listening thinking, hey, it's time for us to make a move and let's get signed up on this LegalShield thing, or ask Brian some more questions about it, how do they get a hold of you? I'm going to give you my personal number. So people are like, really? 301-343-9179. I'm not sure if you'll be able to put that in some fashion into the podcast, but or my email address, bjcarruthers@gmail.com, and that's CARRUTHERS
probably be able to see that in the heading or whatever. But just shoot me a text or shoot me an email. I'd be happy to chat with you. I can send you over a video that explains the services. You can sign up on the website right afterward. Be sure to come directly to me because I'll be your concierge. I'll be the one that will make sure you're signed up properly. And if you ever have any question, you want to have somebody personal that works with LegalShield that you can work directly with as your kind of like I said, your concierge.
I love it. Well, I appreciate it, and thanks for coming on the show again. And all those that are listening, as always, go out there and stay happy. Stay grateful and go out there and try to find someone to serve, just like Brian was saying. Find some more meaning in your life than just money and growing your business, but find that third aspect of serving others and adding more value into someone else's life. So again, thanks, Brian, again, and we'll see everyone else later.
Congratulations on spending a couple of minutes getting a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Idaho business community. If you're feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.